Hello, I'm three-time Brit Award winner Colin, and you're listening to a little food podcast called Dishin It.
Oh, you barking, Ramsey?
Always stealing my spotlight. I've not won a Brit Award just yet, but one can dream. But you are listening to Dishin It, where today I'm joined by food and fitness guru Scott Baptie to uncover food myths, dieting tips, and keeping healthy. And on that theme, I took to my stories last week to ask my followers if calories didn't exist, what food would you eat every day if you could? To say I was left hungry after responses was an understatement. Bad planning on my part. I should have maybe put the story up before I had breakfast that morning. I could have ate everything that was mentioned. So we had Mackie's honeycomb ice cream along with masses of tiramisu, ham and cheese crescents, however you say it, smoked salmon and cream cheese bagels, hell yes, twirls with plenty of red wine on the side I hope, and a resounding cheer for pizza. And I'm with you there with big chunks of pineapple on top to at least attempt getting some of your 5 a day in there. And there was more plugs for members of the carbs family with gnocchi, bread and butter pudding, oh, and tiger bread. Yes. Lots of tiger bread, a big, thick chunk straight from the bakery section with a big spread of Lurpak salted butter on top. Whew, pass me the loaf. I also asked for healthy hacks to help to beat any sweet cravings that you have. We had pineapple on the grill with cinnamon on top, what an idea that is. Rice cakes with dark chocolate, cherry smoothies to hit that sugar fix, and honey on toast. Peanut butter on toast is always my go-to, with a little dollop of honey as well, just to kind of get that balance of salt and sweet. Options hot chocolate got a few shout outs as well, always the mint one. Segments of frozen banana with peanut butter sandwich in between, a great shout, but I will pass on that because bananas absolutely give me the heave, but a great hack for any banana lovers out there. And places to get a shout out for booking a celebratory table following Operation Beach Bod included the Kildrummy Inn, Maggie's Grill, Buta Burger, not heard that one, so I'll be checking that one out. Number 10, Brewdog Cafe Bohem, thank you to keeping it all local, great shouts. And we also had a few call outs for the Braided Fig, which we probably want to mind too. The menu there is crazy good and it's always changing. It's always something different every time. It's a fantastic place. And finally, we got one entry that said, anywhere with you. Oh, cute. Clearly they've not seen my table etiquette. So on to food highlights, and I'm dedicating this week to one special cafe that I can't stop thinking about. I finally paid Second Home Studio and Cafe a visit at the weekend, and as the name suggests, you'll want to move in after your first visit. Aberdeen has been needing an art cafe for such a long time, and Second Home definitely fits the bill, bursting with plenty of colour and not forgetting tip-top coffee and food. I ordered the blackcurrant crumble pancakes, which were a special for the weekend, topped with the cafe's homemade and delicious blackcurrant sauce, crunchy crumble, and a scattering of flower petals. I think it may have been the prettiest plate I've ever set my eyes on. Even prettier than a Disney princess, let's put it that way. When I return, which won't be long, I'll be hitting up the bagel and flatbread offerings that they have. They look and sound banging. I grabbed myself a window seat, and to set the scene, the cherry blossoms were casually swaying in the wind, birds chirping, the sounds of Fleetwood Mac playing from a chilled playlist. It goes on. This place was zenny zen, and then some. Here you can help yourself to art supplies and sketch while you sip your coffee, pick away at your cake, something that I haven't sat down to do in years. It really is a place to take a step back and switch off. That afternoon, they were hosting their first sketch workshop in a few weeks with local artist Gemma Hare, and there's more workshops like this to follow in the future, which is really exciting. In its seating area, there's a wall full of sketches of all different types of beautiful body shapes and sizes, and it got me thinking about this week's episode with Scott. It's taken me a long time to feel comfortable in my own skin, and to be honest, I'm still working on it. I was in the obese bracket all the way through my childhood. Always the last in sports day. I had to wear adult-sized clothing because the kids' range didn't fit. Dreaded swimming pool days. Always got the look of disapproval from teachers when healthy eating was a class topic that day, and of course, called fat by complete strangers. All these experiences gave me the motivation to lose weight in my teens, but also resulted in a short-term eating disorder and an unhealthy relationship with food that still stays with me today. Now, don't get me wrong, I love food and dream about food every hour of the day, but my unhealthy triggers with food are a real balancing act for me daily. When I eat a bit of cake, I'm already planning what I'm subbing out the next day. When I have a chipper, I'm planning my next run. When I devour a bar of Cadbury's, I pedal a little bit faster to work the next day. The cycle goes on. But what I've found over the years is that it's a real balancing act to keep healthy, and self-torment does not help anyone. And that's why I wanted to record this episode with Scott. One, because health and fitness is a genuine interest of mine. And two, to understand the topic better and maybe help someone out there who thinks the same as me. You'll hear it in my chat with Scott, but there's a real penny drop moment for me, which completely changed my thought process about diet since our chat, and I hope you find it useful too. I want to point out that this episode isn't about being skinny or about fat shaming. It's about striking the balance and changing perception of diet. It doesn't have to be a boring life of lettuce, nor a life chained to protein shakes. It's about making sensible choices and doing what works for you. So to the kid, teen or adult that thinks they're too chunky, gangly, bulky, stumpy, flat arse, top heavy, pigeon chested, you name it, remember the only person you're in competition with is yourself, and just keep on doing you. And if anyone ever thinks it's okay to make a negative comment about how you look, just remember that you do not have an ugly personality like themselves. Give an uncomfortably long disapproving stare and take the high road in the opposite direction, whilst internally shouting, cue bleepers, "Oh, you, you unbelievably ugly-centered thunder with sprinkles on top." Or say it out loud. Your body is nobody's business but yours. And with that out of the way, on to today's episode. Right, let's get going. Hi Scott, welcome to Dishin It. How's things?
Thanks for having me on, Colin. Looking forward to chat.
Yeah, how's it all going today?
All good, mate. All good. This is the highlight of my day, so
that's good to know.
Well, that will give you an indication to how the rest of the day's been. No, only joking.
Oh well. We're recording this session just shortly after Easter Sunday, so I have ploughed through my Easter egg stock. So I'm looking forward to talking about all things fitness and nutrition with you. So we'll kick off with where it all started for you. How did you get into fitness and nutrition?
Not the most conventional way. Like a lot of people who are sort of in the fitness space usually start out as personal trainers and then go online from that way. But I actually was working in an office. I was at a desk and I just set up a blog called Food for Fitness, which was just where I posted what I was doing in the gym, recipes I was cooking, meal plans I was following if I was trying to get leaner or put on muscle and so on. And then that turned into a business and ended up packing in my job, did that full time, went back to uni to do a master's in sports nutrition. And they say the rest is history.
Have you always been into fitness, or was there a kind of turning point as you were growing up that kind of really got you into it? Or has it just been something that's always been ingrained in your DNA as such?
I was always into sport. I played a lot of sport when I was younger, golf, badminton. And then when I came to uni, I played the same. Well, I didn't play much golf. I played badminton, but I'd never really been into fitness as such, as in people's idea of going to the gym. I mean, prior to uni, I'd never gone to the gym to work out. And then in first year, we were in catered halls and ended up gaining quite a bit of weight through a combination of just not really having much of a clue about what I was eating, and the fact that you could have chips with every meal, and that you're going out drinking on a Wednesday night and then ordering a pizza at 10 o'clock when you're playing the PlayStation on a Thursday just because that's what you can do. So ended up gaining a bit of weight, and then started going to the gym to try and do something about it, and then got quite into it. Noticed I was able to make a difference. I was losing weight. I was putting on muscle. And then I just started reading about it and trying to think, how can I get better? How can I get stronger? How can I just be more efficient with what I'm doing? And that was really that was the change really that I needed.
Pizza at 10 o'clock at night, the days.
Yeah, it was the gate. I don't know if it still exists, but it was, we used to get, it was called the Gate Crasher pizza. Was it Heavenly Pizzas that did it? I can't remember, but it was a huge pizza. I remember getting that one. Yeah. So I don't know. You're way more familiar with the Aberdeen food scene than I am at the moment. So yeah, does the Gate Crasher still exist?
Well, I tell you, I haven't heard of that one. But if you are back in and you're needing a pizza fix, you need to get Big Mayonnaise Pizza.
I've heard many good things about them. Yeah.
By the sounds of what you're saying, it sounds like it might be the same size, if not bigger. Okay. Honestly, those pizzas are bloody huge, but they're really good. So from all that, when you got into fitness and you kind of were doing your blog, you obviously then kind of appeared on a few fitness magazine covers. That must have been a kind of whirlwind experience, kind of going through that whole setup.
Yeah, that was quite interesting. So the way that came about was I was quite competitive, and to me, because I was going to the gym quite a lot and getting really into it, and I thought, well, you can essentially compete in powerlifting or weightlifting, gym-based sports essentially, or you could go down the fitness modeling side of things, and that's why I did. I sort of set myself the challenge of saying, well, I wonder if I can get in good enough shape that I could get on one of these magazines that I read. When I was starting out, like I said, when I started going to the gym, it was Men's Fitness and Men's Health and Muscle and Fitness and all that. So yeah, I decided to see if I could get in that kind of condition. Dieted down, got really lean, and was fortunate. I got picked up by a fitness modeling agency. And yeah, my first ever fitness gig was for Men's Running, and then my second one was for the cover for Men's Fitness. So yeah, that was pretty cool. When I was doing that, that was the kind of clientele that I was working with. It was typically males of the same age as me with the same kind of goals who wanted that kind of look. So it worked really well, and was able to sort of share the experiences I had doing it with them as well. But yeah, looking back on it now, now that I'm married, got kids, and run a business, I don't think I've got the kind of dedication that I need to do it again, I'm afraid.
I know, because it must be a lot of upkeep. Like it must be like intense, like many days at the gym and stuff to maintain all that.
Yeah. So when I was doing it, you kind of have to, when you sort of signed to a fitness agency, you don't have to stay, it depends. Some people were in London who did lots of jobs all the time, and that was almost like their main source of income. They could pretty much shoot a magazine cover any day of the week. But for the rest of us who were not down there and weren't doing as many jobs, then you could afford to not be, absolutely peeled all the time. So it was not as intense as some people think. But yeah, when there was a job, then you did get leaner. And around then, I would be probably in the gym maybe 5 times a week minimum. But at the time, it wasn't a chore. That's the thing. It wasn't, oh God, I've got to go to the gym. It was, I really loved it. It was a lifestyle. It was just, it was a hobby. My pals went to the gym. It wasn't a chore back then at all.
Okay, because I was going to ask if it was like if you felt a pressure to constantly maintain the way you looked. I imagined it being like Devil Wears Prada, like fashion industry. Like, you told us you had an 8-pack, you've only got a 4-pack. What the hell is this? That's what I imagined it being like.
Oh no, it was. To be honest, it's just. It's a lot more relaxed, or my experience of it was a lot more relaxed. It wasn't quite like that. I've never actually seen Devil Wears Prada, so I can't give an exact comparison for it. But
it's a great film.
Yeah, okay, I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. Okay, so and along the way, during your career, you've even had the time to write your books. So you've written 101 ways to lose weight and never find it again, along with your, I think it's 7 protein handbooks.
Almost, 6. Good
almost
enough, yeah.
6. Oh, close. Is that a different type of motivation that you've had to find from kind of fitness motivation, taking it to kind of sitting down and getting stuff written?
Yeah, it is different, but again, it wasn't really that hard to do, because so the book, the weight loss book, 101 Ways to Lose Weight and Never Find It Again, stemmed from a lot of people used to ask me for book recommendations, like, what's a good book to learn about losing weight, burn fat, changing body composition and so on. And I never really had a go-to book that I could refer people to. It said, this one's okay, there's some from here you could use, but ignore that section. And this has got a good bit on exercise and so on. So I kind of just condensed all the stuff that I knew to be effective and things that worked. And that's why I did it. So it's sort of the go-to. I know I'm biased, but because I wrote it, but that's sort of my go-to book that people say, "Oh, what's a good book?" Well, there you go read
Actually,
that.
my one.
Yeah, but the thing is as well, the whole approach that I take to fitness is to try and make it as easy as possible for people to get results. And when I started out and when I did those initial cuts and so on, I wasn't exposed to the best information. I did some things that just weren't necessary. I overcomplicated things. I wasted time in some areas when I should have been focusing on the other. So yeah, I've made a lot of mistakes and I've tried a lot of different approaches and different diets and so on. And the idea of the book was to just whittle all that down to the stuff that actually makes a difference and the stuff that is enjoyable and the stuff that you're most importantly is sustainable. And the book's also, again, not really that difficult. It was a case of I enjoy cooking. I like making stuff up. I like looking at other recipes and merging them and modifying them and adding more and take to it. So it was just a case of just writing down what I was doing in the kitchen already, to be honest.
That's good. And it's so good, I suppose, to have your kind of background knowledge of like doing it yourself and knowing it works for you and kind of just replicating it for other people and putting it down into a book, which, as you say, was kind of like second nature. It was everything you knew. And it's great that it's been received so well and people find so much value from it as well. Like your 30-day challenge as well sees amazing results in people. What would be like your words of wisdom for people when they get to the end of the challenge to kind of maintain the momentum, I suppose?
Yeah, so well, that's the whole. So the 30-day high protein fat loss challenge is, yeah, as the name suggests, it's 30 days focusing on high protein foods. If the goal is to lose weight, but the thing about it is that it is just really normal foods, and that's again a sort of misconception that I challenge is that people often think that there are certain things as fat loss foods or muscle building foods and so on. The food that you can eat is all the same. It all comes down to the quantities and the amount of calories you're consuming. So the idea behind both the high protein handbooks and the challenge was to show people that, well, the foods that you can eat are just fairly normal things. It's like bolognese and stews and curries and lasagna and so on. But we maybe just tweak the ingredients slightly to just reduce the calories and increase the protein. And the reason why we have a higher protein intake is because it's excellent for helping you recover from exercise. And if you are trying to lose weight, it's very satiating, meaning it helps you to feel fuller for longer. And that's one thing when people are consuming fewer calories, that you want to keep the hunger pangs at bay. So that is a benefit of protein. It helps you to just feel fuller. So once they've done the challenge, actually going back to your question, it's because they've just been eating normal food anyway. It's not like many diets when if you've cut out a load of foods that you would normally eat from your diet and then you do this for like 30 days or 90 days or however long, then there's a high chance that you will go back to including all the things that you just ate before, because it's not representative of what you would call normal eating. And that's why a lot of diets don't work. If the extreme example of the cabbage soup diet, if you're eating nothing but cabbage soup, there's no way it's going to last, because that is just terrible. It's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
But if I can show people that, well, you can lose weight by eating foods that you'd be happy to keep eating and that your kids will eat and your other half will eat, they won't go, oh, what's this healthy meal that you're serving us? Because it is healthy, but we managed to sneak the vegetables in other ways and drop the calories down by just using less oil and so on. Then that's one of the big benefits of it, is that it is very sustainable. And when you read the feedback on Trustpilot, for example, it's people saying, yeah, I did this back in October, I did it in July last year and I've kept the weight off. It's not like, oh yeah, I did it, lost a load of weight in 30 days and then I gained it all again. So yeah, that's the big thing is sustainability.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what I really love about your account, that all the kind of recipes that you share, all that stuff, and it is that sort of thing. It kind of suits the whole family. It's not that the person who's on the diet has to sit at the other end of the table with their lettuce leaves or whatever that no one else wants to have. Like your food that you make is kind of for everyone. And I think that's why it's so successful and so many people kind of sign up to it. And it's good to hear that people keep on sharing their good feedback for it as well.
Yeah, well, that's it. I mean, it's so sad when, the amount of times that people have told me about plans that they've had in the past off the internet or from PTs, and like, yeah, I had to eat this and none of the rest of the family would eat it because it was the sort of stereotypical chicken, broccoli and brown rice 6 times a day. And you're like, well, no wonder.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's talk about lockdown. Obviously, we're still in it. We're nearly edging out of it. With gyms being closed, that's been a massive impact on a lot of people. I suppose you're based out in Aberdeenshire, so I'm assuming you maybe have a home gym set up with you. Was it hard to stay motivated through lockdown for you?
We don't have a home gym, but it is on my to-do list. I would love to clear out the garage.
Sorry to rub it in. Sorry.
No. But what's it hard? For me, I was fortunate in that we stay out in the middle of nowhere, so we don't do that much socializing anyway. We're not hermits, but we just, it's different. If you stay in the town, in the city, then you're more likely to be going out and so on. So for us, it wasn't too bad, and we're kind of getting bored of it now, but on that side of things, we're okay. In terms of motivation, we spend a lot of time outside anyway. I'm quite into gardening, so we've got, we'll grow our own fruits and veg here. So I've got to get outside in order to look after that. Otherwise, there is no food on the table. Literally, we are putting food on the table from the house.
Amazing.
And we've got a dog and we've got a little one, so we're kind of out walking anyway. And I'm quite addicted to getting my 10,000 steps in. I've had this, been doing it for years now, and it would be, I'd get the shakes probably if I didn't manage to get my 10,000 steps in that day. So fortunately we were okay, but I know a lot of people did struggle with it because it was very different to what they're used to. Mm-hmm. But fortunately we've been on the better side of things.
Oh, that's good. Space to roam. Great to hear that you grow your own vegetables as well. That's something I've always wanted to do, but never have the time to do it. What's the main thing growing just now in the season?
Well, this is just the start of the season, really. So it's just really just been getting things in the ground. I actually sowed my tatties today, this afternoon. So they got in the ground. I put carrots in last week, but then all the snow came, so I don't know if any of them will come through. But we've got onions in the greenhouse and salad. It's been growing. Tomatoes have been planted, ready to go out in the greenhouse later on as well. But it's I really like it. It's not something that I've always done. It was when we stayed in the town. We had a garden, but we didn't grow anything in it. And then when we moved out here, the house had quite an extensive vegetable plot anyway. So it was literally Google how to be a gardener, and obsessively watching Gardener's World and Beech Grove trying to learn out what the hell I'm actually doing. So yeah, we've had a few disasters of entire things dying on us, and extreme bumper crops of other ones that I've had to just hand out to people all the time because we've got far too many. But yeah, we're getting better as we practice it.
Oh, well, in the future, there might be the Baptie farm shop. You never know.
Maybe. Who knows? Never say never.
And obviously, with gyms being closed and kind of people struggling to stay motivated, there might be a few of us who have been victims of lockdown pounds. What would be the best place to start for anyone who's struggling to lose weight?
So often I ask people 3 questions, and it's, what could you maybe eat more of? What do you think you could maybe eat less of? And what's the easiest way that you're able to do it? Because most people will have a rough idea. You might think, well, yeah, I'd probably eat a little bit more vegetables. Don't really eat that many, so I could probably do that. What do you eat too much of? Well, yeah, I find that myself, I'm eating quite a lot of crisps in the evening when I'm watching Netflix. So I can maybe try and cut them back. And how are you going to do it? Well, maybe you could start ordering your food online, so you can make a plan and plan out some of the meals and so on, and do it that way. Or you could do a little chart, and you try and do those habits for the next 30 days and see if you can do it every day. And if you do, then you reward yourself at the end of it. So that would be the thing. It doesn't need to be extreme changes, and that's what a lot of people think, that they have to do something pretty dramatic. But they don't. We're looking at making the smallest change that gives you the greatest impact. And that doesn't mean you have to go running every single day and drink celery juice for breakfast and just eat kale for your dinner. It's just make a little tweak that you'll actually see yourself continuing to do even once you get to your goal weight, and not just something that you're going to do for a couple of weeks and then stop. So sustainability is key when it comes to both exercise and training. Make sure you actually like it and that you'll keep doing it.
Ah, fantastic. And you mentioned there kind of suggesting kind of foods you need to get more of in your diet. I know for me, I really struggle with getting my head around protein. What would be your kind of top food to eat to get a good source of protein?
So when people think about protein and they think about getting more of it, they always often think, well, I need to start taking protein shakes, especially if they are going to the gym and into exercise. Like, oh, I should probably take a protein shake. But you certainly don't need to. You can get all the protein that your body needs from whole foods. And if you eat an omnivorous diet, if you do eat animal products, then just lean protein sources, chicken, turkey, beef, lean pork, and so on. These are all good sources of protein. And also you've got your plant-based sources too, beans, pulses, various legumes, and so on, and dairy, milk, yogurt, eggs, etc. So these are all quality sources of protein. And it might just be a case of just trying to get a decent serving. We're talking about a decent serving being about a fist size, that, like a fist size, that'd be like a chicken breast, or a flat hand would be like a fish fillet, for example. Okay. Just try and have something with every meal. And often people will have very little protein at breakfast. So maybe you can try some of these high protein yogurts, or you could try and have eggs in the morning, or a little bit of smoked salmon if you've got fancy breakfast tastes. Those are the easy ways to do it. You don't have to go to having a protein shake.
Yeah, because I think that I'm like a keen runner, and whenever I'm like Googling, like you do your gardening, Googling how to get more protein in your diet or whatever, like it's always they're plugging the kind of protein shakes and stuff. And that's just something that's never really appealed to me. So that's actually really helpful.
Yeah, if you are doing sport, for example, one of the best recovery drinks you can have is a pint of milk.
Oh, really?
Just semi-skim.
Cool.
Yeah, just semi-skim. Pint of semi-skim milk gives you about 20 grams of protein, which is fairly close to what you'd get from a scoop of protein if you were taking it in powdered form. There's also carbs in milk. There's also electrolytes in it as well. So it's kind of got all the properties of a recovery drink in it anyway, and it's much cheaper and tastier, and you can pretty much get from any shop that sells food. So yeah, that's always a good place to start if you are doing exercise and looking at increasing your protein and speeding up your recovery at the same time.
Perfect. Add milk to shopping list.
Yeah.
On to a section where I'm sure a lot of listeners will be sitting with pen to paper ready to delve into kind of dieting tips and kind of debunking some myths that are out there. So the first one I've got is, well, earlier on, I think it was last year, I cut caffeine out of my diet because I read something that caffeine was really bad for you. And then it lasted till about October. And then I ended up putting it back in. Is caffeine good or bad for your diet?
So there's probably not going to be a good or bad yes, no answer for any of these questions. It's all context dependent, but in moderation, assuming you don't have any adverse effects to caffeine, like if it significantly impacts your sleep or it gives you the jitters or upsets your stomach, if you are someone who doesn't have negative side effects from consuming a moderate amount of caffeine, then it's totally fine. Again, in moderation, having several cups of tea and coffee a day is fine. Having 10 espressos before you go to your bed, probably not a good idea.
Crikey. And eating after 9 o'clock at night, should or shouldn't?
Again, this is a classic one. You've picked a good time. 9 o'clock's a good one. It often starts earlier. Normally it starts off with no carbs after 6, and then it's should eat after 8, and so on.
I didn't want to say it earlier because then otherwise I'd have to stop eating.
No, that's fine. It really doesn't matter in terms of affecting your body composition, as in how you gain, maintain, or lose weight. when you eat makes pretty much no difference. It's all about the total amount of calories that you consume in that day, not when you eat them. So let's say you are someone who eats 3,000 calories a day. If you ate most of them before midday, or if you ate most of them between midday and 6 p.m., or if you had 500 before midday, 1,000 before 6, and then another 1,000 later, it doesn't really matter because it's the same amount of calories that you eat that day. So, I mean, this myth affects people when they exercise in the evening. Say they go to the gym at 8 or go for a run or whatever, and they've heard this myth that you shouldn't eat before you go to bed because it's bad for you, or it increases the likelihood of fat storage and so on, can then hamper their recovery. So if you're exercising at night, then yeah, definitely you want to go and have some protein and carbs afterwards to help kickstart the recovery process. But the simple yes, no answer to your question, then no, eating after a set time isn't going to be bad for you unless there are sort of specifics around it, like you find if you eat close to going to bed that you don't sleep as well, or it affects your digestion or whatever. But assuming that doesn't occur, then you're fine.
The 5-2 diet, totally worth it or totally waste of time?
So 5-2 or any other, so 5-2 diet, for anybody who doesn't know, is typically you have 2 days per week when you'd eat 500 calories, and the rest of the time you eat normal amount of calories. It's just a form of fasting when you have essentially these 2 fast days. Other people may be familiar with the term intermittent fasting, and the popular approach is to not eat between 8 p.m. and then like midday the next day. So it's, you've got 16 hours of fasting, then 8 hours of an eating window. Again, it still comes down to the amount of calories that you're eating, whether you'll gain, maintain, or lose weight. So it doesn't really matter if the 5-2 diet works for you. It's an approach you like. It's a way for you to control what you're having, and you don't feel grumpy or angry, or it doesn't affect your recovery on those low days. It may be an approach that works for you, same as if you just take any other fasting approach. If you find it works for you, it's all context dependent. That's the key thing. If it's something you like and you want to do it, and you don't have any adverse effects from it, then it's probably not too bad.
You might not want to give us away, but what's the best kept secret in diet and fitness? Testing you right
that anyone who says there is a secret is talking out their arse.
There we go. There it is.
There is no best kept secret. There isn't a secret behind it. It's most of it. It's consistency and finding something that's sustainable. There isn't. If somebody tells you that they've unlocked the secret to 6-pack abs, or never feeling hungry, or getting shredded and eating, crazy amounts of calories, then they're probably just lying to you. Or that a certain supplement is, you have to take this supplement. Again, high chance that it's lies.
Good tip. Right now, I'm currently weaning myself off Easter eggs. What is a good sweet craving hack that you follow by, or you suggest to people trying to move away from chocolate?
Yeah, so when I go back to the fitness modeling days, and when I was really controlling my calories and tracking my macronutrients, protein, carbohydrates, and fat, then the thing that I really loved was no added sugar jellies. Just made my own. I'd buy these Hartley's jelly sachets, make up like 3 jellies, put them in the fridge, and they taste sweet. There's like next to no calories in them. I say they taste like birthdays, and they were something that I'd always, in the evening, if I'm like, oh, I've got a bit of a sweet tooth, then yeah, no added sugar jelly. And it's still something to this day that people say, I've got a sugar craving in the evening, what should I do? And like, get yourself a jelly.
Get yourself a jelly. Love it. I haven't had jelly bloody ages.
I know. See, that's the thing.
See,
it's a proper nostalgia food. You have it and you're like, it brings back all these memories.
And what's the biggest diet myth that you'd love to see the back of?
That you have to cut out carbs to lose fat. You don't have to go on a low carb diet. Again, it all comes down to calories, specifically creating this calorie deficit, meaning you consume fewer calories than you burn per day. And you can do that on a moderate to high carb diet. You don't have to suddenly not eat any carbs in order to lose weight. Anybody who tells you that is, again, either straight up lying to you, or they are just maybe a bit misguided on what the evidence actually shows. But yeah, the good news is you can alter your body composition with keeping carbs like bread and pasta and rice in your diet. Maybe you have to eat less, but you don't have to eat none. Well, obviously it's better to cut back and not cut out, unless the only real reason to cut a food out completely is if you don't like it, it makes you feel ill, it's too expensive, or you can't find it.
Everyone hearing that you can still have pasta and bread, it's like the Hallelujah chorus is playing in their ears, I bet.
Yeah. But one thing is, again, a simple thing that people often say to me is if they're following one of my plans is, because I'm saying that, I'll say like 50 grams of pasta or 100 grams of rice or whatever, and you have to measure it, people go, oh God, actually, that is a good enough serving, but I was having double or triple that easily without really being aware of it. So it's this just mindfulness and having a bit more of an awareness of what you're eating can, have a positive effect on you.
Would you say about 50 grams of pasta?
As a very rule of thumb, for me, I would maybe say, if you're on a sort of a lower, calorie intake, then maybe 50 grams. If you're on higher, 75. If you're on even more, 100. Again, it all just depends on the total amount of calories you're aiming for.
Okay, perfect. And you'll be glad to know the diet grilling is coming to an end. The final one, what is the most ridiculous diet fad that you've heard? There's probably been many, to be fair.
I think the carnivore diet, it's semi-popular at the moment, and it is just ludicrous. They almost it's like they've just tried to create, so the carnivore diet is you just eat meat, right? Nothing else. And they almost went and say, right, what do most people agree on that's good for you? Oh yeah, fruits and vegetables. Right, on our diet, we're not going to eat fruits and veg or anything other than, meat. So yeah, it's anything.
Is that a bit like Atkins? Is that a similar?
No, well, Atkins was really just low carb. You could still have vegetables with Atkins, as long as they were just, again, like low calorie veg, sort of fibrous, leafy greens and so on, not sweet potatoes and butternut squash and so on. But no, carnivore diet is literally just meat.
Jeez, oh.
Yeah.
Crikey. Okay, well, everyone don't do that diet because it must be bloody expensive as well, actually.
Oh, imagine, I think folk would go, oh yeah, I'd love a steak or, bacon every dinner. But I reckon after even just probably 2 meals of nothing but meat, you'd be fed up of it.
Oh, Jesus, yeah, boring. Okay, so moving back to kind of what you do every day now. So what I love about following you is that I get my recipes, get tips, and get a little bit of comedy from some of your posts. And
thanks,
also,
Colin, you've sold it well. That's what
there
I'm
we go.
For.
Everyone, go follow. I know when I was saying that, it sounded like comedy in a bad way, but no, comedy in a good way.
A little bit of banter, we'll say.
Yeah, there we go. A little bit of banter. That's it. That's a perfect way to put it. But what I love most is that you sometimes post a picture of a buttery, picture of McDonald's, and all that stuff. Is having cheat food the secret to, well, not the secret, we won't use that word, is cheat food a key to a healthy diet mindset, would you say?
I'll start off by saying that there's a chippers coming tomorrow night. I've not had a chipper since October.
And, crikey, how have you made it?
I know. There isn't a good one near us, but yeah, we're getting a chipper tomorrow night. So I've honestly been looking forward to that all week.
What have you ordered, or what's on the order?
It will be a fish supper and probably half a smoked sausage with batter on the side.
Yes.
Now, interesting. You use the word cheat food, which is a term I don't use it anywhere, because you can't cheat on how you eat. Like, you can cheat on FIFA, you could cheat on a spouse, you could cheat on Call of Duty, whatever, and it doesn't make you popular. Like, any form of cheating is going to lose you friends or significant others in general. There's a lot of negative feelings associated with cheating. So why would we want to take those into the diet, into the way we wouldn't. So you can't cheat on the diet. Now, where you are going, I understand what you mean by this question, and it's totally fine. Anybody who's called it a cheat meal or cheat food or whatever in the past, it's totally fine. But when someone has to have one of these quote unquote cheat meals, like a pizza or generally just something that tastes fine, is often because the diet that they're following or their approach to eating is so boring and restrictive that they have to have these cheat meals when they can have a pizza or they can have anything that's got a little bit of flavor in it. So what I would say is just try and make the rest of the day, the rest of the week a bit more interesting and try and eat more. That's the whole thing I do with the high protein handbook, is just try and eat foods that are just normal rather than quote unquote healthy or diet foods, so that you don't need to have this huge excessive blowout at the weekend and maybe offset all the progress that you've made during the week. Now, things like butteries and maybe not a chipper, but things like butteries, packet crisps, the odd McDonald's and so on. Again, you can factor these into what you're doing. If you're tracking calories or macros, for example, you can make allowances for these. You could maybe have slightly less calories during the week to allow for more at the weekend to still keep you in this calorie deficit or whatever it's you're aiming for. And you can have the food and enjoy it without feeling guilty about it or feeling that you've got to go and, just eat broccoli the whole next day. Like for me, for example, what I do is I wouldn't have a chippers on a Tuesday night. I wouldn't drink any beers on a Wednesday night. The reason why I don't do that is because I've got that kind of structure in place so that it is something that I can look forward to at the weekend. But it's not out of necessity that I need it. Like I was saying, you don't have to have this cheat meal because you're eating so well. I'm eating good food all throughout the week, but it's a way for me to just keep my calories a little bit under control by not having any alcohol during the week or not having something that's really high calorie, like, getting takeaway on a Tuesday and so on. I allow for that to happen at the weekend, and it works fine for me. And for other people too, you can also do that as well. And again, if you are making sure that the food you're eating normally is tasty, then you might not need to go to such extremes at the weekend as well. Does that make sense?
No, that does. And it's actually almost like a penny drop moment, because you see so many kind of fitness people online who kind of say, oh, I'm having like a massive like cheat day blowout or whatever, or they refer to like say a Mars bar as a cheat food or whatever. And I suppose it puts a kind of makes you a bit jaded to think, oh well, so can you literally not have a diet off?
Yeah, it's a surefire way to calling a Mars bar cheat food is like a certain way to develop unhealthy associations with food.
Yeah, definitely.
And often the people that are like, oh yeah, cheat meal at the weekend are the ones that are eating chicken, broccoli, and brown rice out of a Tupperware box when they go out for dinner with their family, because they're so restrictive about what they are eating and they think that they just can't order off a menu. It's got to be, exactly 150 grams of boiled brown rice, 100 grams of chicken breast, and a cup of broccoli on the side. It can really, people think it's being healthy. This is what the sad thing is, that it's perceived as being healthy, but it's really, if you look at how it affects,
it's really unhealthy.
Very much so. Yeah, very much. It's unhealthy both mentally. The approach, that super restrictive approach to food, is unhealthy. And also, if you're just eating the same thing over and over again, like chicken, broccoli, brown rice, and I know it's kind of used as a bit of a joke, but I've seen meal plans that literally that is all that's on it, with maybe some almonds and maybe a protein shake. And that is super unhealthy too, because you're not eating a wide enough range of nutrients that your body needs. Like, variety is the spice of life. And I always try and tell people to eat as many different types of food as you can, as many different varieties of fruits, as many different varieties of vegetables. Don't just eat chicken in your fajitas. Sometimes use beef, sometimes use turkey. Go and buy a duck breast if you see it on offer. Just mix things up and you get different nutrients, and it's healthy.
Yeah. And do you ever find with some of like your clients and people who do your programs, do you ever find that you've got to kind of like coerce them into seeing it the way you're doing it is actually better for them than what they've maybe previously done on other diets?
Yeah, exactly. Because it's not their fault. It's just the information that they've been exposed to, which is incorrect. So people do have this misconception that they've got to eat quote unquote clean all the time if they want to lose weight. And when they download like my meal plans, they sort of look at it and go, is this for real? There's no way I can eat this. I'm like, honestly, just do it for 7 days and let me know what happens. And they go, oh my God, I lost all this weight. I'm like, yeah, because we've created the calorie deficit and you're eating normal food and it's high fiber and high in protein. It's filling you up. So yeah, I get it all the time, but thankfully I've been doing this long enough now that people are more likely to trust me, and the fact that hundreds of and thousands of people have done it as well. They're able to see like reviews of what other people have said too. So yeah, we're okay on that respect.
You're a trusted source.
Thankfully, yeah, trusted source. So that's why when I eat a buttery, they sort of sit up and go, wait, what? Why is he eating a buttery?
Hold on. Yeah, because I remember you posted a picture of an iron brew once, and I remember you followed up with a picture of another iron brew and yourself looking very smug, being like, people unfollowed me last time, but I'm going to still drink iron brew type thing.
Yeah.
Do you still get a bit of a backlash if you post anything deemed unhealthy?
Interestingly, no.
That's good.
It doesn't really happen anymore. But yeah, I used to get a point when folk about, oh my God, I can't believe this nutritionist is eating McDonald's, or don't you know an iron brew is full of chemicals? And then I'd be like, well,
it's full of goodness.
It's really tasty. And if you actually look at the evidence, you'll find that moderate consumption of artificially sweetened drinks is totally fine, assuming you're not going like drinking 300 cans a day.
Yeah.
But again, it's just this misconception and exposure to wrong information that, I mean, it was that Diet Coke infographic that did the rounds for ages. You know, this is what happens to your body 30 minutes after drinking a Diet Coke.
Jesus.
And it was just so wrong and so incorrect, but it just fuels the belief again that, you know, Diet Coke is worse for you because chemicals. And you're like, what is it that's worse? Oh, well, you know, it causes cancer. And you're like, really? Wow. And you start exploring it and saying, well, if you actually look at the data, you'll find that it's only been shown in rodent studies, and the human equivalent was like 300 cans a day, and that both like American Cancer Association and Cancer Research UK and even the NHS on their website saying that moderate consumption of artificially sweetened drink is probably a better option than the full sugar version. So, but all these folk are like, no, because I read it on a blog, that is bad for you. Or my mate said, you know, well, thankfully we base our decisions off the evidence base, not what your pal said down the gym.
I know it's scary the things people pick up on and then just kind of go with it. But that's good that people have stopped giving you as much ag.
Yeah, it didn't bother me in the slightest. It was just an opportunity to.
I could see that you reveled in it when you posted it again.
If by me posting drinking an iron brew made somebody just sit up and think, hang on, I've always been taught that I shouldn't be drinking a diet drink, and then if they learn the evidence behind it and it makes a difference, then it's a win-win. Yeah, I'll lose some followers, but who cares?
I mentioned earlier that I kind of regularly look to your profile for kind of recipe inspiration. What's your go-to recipe?
I don't have a go-to recipe as such, but I do regularly cook bolognese in the slow cooker or sloppy joes, which is kind of a bolognese. It's more of an American one, and traditionally they would have it in a sandwich, like essentially a fancy mince piece. But I like it with pasta, and it goes in sweet potato, baked sweet potatoes, and so on as well. So yeah, probably some kind of minced dish in the slow cooker I would cook once a week, and just batch cook it and keeps the portions in the freezer.
Fine. I really want that now, actually. Sloppy Joe. Or a minced toasty. That's a firm favourite back where I'm from.
Yeah, mince in a sandwich is a winner. I've actually had used sort of cold bolognese that was a really thick sauce actually through a salad before. Worked quite well, which sounds odd, but it was actually pretty nice.
On the list. So that takes us nicely on to the last question I've got for you. So we just talked about recipes. I've been asking every guest on the podcast kind of their key to happiness that is something they stick by or something that has got them through the past year. What's your recipe to happiness?
The one that I get a lot of enjoyment from is, well, it's not even one particular. I've been cooking a lot of Indian restaurant style curries at home, which is quite a palaver, and there's lots of prep that goes in that. You have to cook this huge vat of the base gravy, and then you only cook stuff on individual portions, so that you get a real good reduction in the sauce and it caramelizes and so on. And you have to have pre-cooked chicken that goes in it, which has been marinated and barbecued in advance and all this. It takes ages to get all the stuff ready, but once you've got it, you can knock up these curries that taste absolutely phenomenal. So yeah, that's why I've been cooking a lot, and we sort of do a couple of curries every weekend, usually on a Friday night, a few beers. So yeah, that's what we've been enjoying a lot of.
Have you got the Dishin cookbook?
No, the ones that I've is this guy who's called Misty Ricardo's Curry Kitchen, and also the Dan Toombs curry guy. Is that what you said? Did you say Dan Toombs or Shoom? What did you say?
No, Dishin.
Dishin, no, Dan Toombs. Sorry, Dan Toombs, the curry guy, and Misty Ricardo's Curry Kitchen.
Nice. I'm always looking for kind of curry recipes and stuff. Yeah, you should get the Dishin one as well. It's a Indian restaurant in Edinburgh, and I think they've got one in London as well. But yeah, they've got heaps of kind of Indian inspired dishes.
Nice.
And stuff. Oh, that's great. Well, thanks so much for joining me today, Scott. That's been such a great chat, and it's definitely given me a lot of inspiration for how to improve my diet. And I'm definitely getting a pint of milk added into the diet every day for my protein fix. 100%.
Perfect. Well, if that's the only thing that the listener took from it, then I'm happy. Job done. I was going to say,
I've got a hefty saved folder on my Instagram of all your recipes. So I've got that to add in as well to the mix. So
I appreciate it. One thing on the safe one is quite interesting. You see it, when people on the sort of the insights of a post, it shows you like how many people commented or liked it or favorited it and so on. And some of the posts I post up that people favorite or save, I'm like, that's just weird. Why are you saving this photo of me out on a dog walk? Unless it's like, oh no, I like the cap he was wearing, I want to get that. But yeah, sometimes I wonder why people have saved them. But saving a recipe, no, that's totally legit.
But great, thanks, and we'll speak soon.
Cheers. Thanks. Perfect time, just as the dog comes in, I hear.
I know, yeah, I had an incident today. I've been leaving him at home while I've been going to work, and I left for a half day today, and he got into the bin, and it was all over the kitchen. Right. So there was 3 chilies that I threw out, and there was only 1 left.
Oh, nice.
So I'm not looking forward to what comes out the other end. Last week it was butter, and the outcome of Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares episode 2 was that Ramsay seemed to cope well with the chilies. Just a shame he couldn't tell me how bad the ring sting was. What an insightful chat with Scott, and I knew that he would shed plenty of light on how to banish the hunger pangs and get the diet just right. Scott's advice of cut back and not cut out definitely stood out to me, and something I acted on immediately with the Easter eggs. Once they were all gone, of course. Links to all of Scott's resources are linked in the description of this podcast, along with all the businesses mentioned throughout the episode. So we have 2 episodes left for series 1 of Dishin It, and on next week's penultimate episode, I'm talking to Rosalind Erskine, the digital editor of the Scotsman Food and Drink, and she's going to share her must-eat places from all around Scotland, along with sharing some handy tips for any budding food writers that are out there. Right, I'm going to go make myself a minced toastie, but in the meantime, stay safe, eat well, and speak soon. Bye!